Hey guys, welcome back. We are on another walk. The weight's not coming off the way I want it to, so I need to make some more adjustments to my diet because I'm definitely doing enough exercise. So let's stop eating. So today I want to talk about a podcast that I started listening to a couple of days ago. It's one that I've had saved on my Spotify playlists to listen to in the future for a while now. It's by a guy named Sean O'Gorman. He used to be an Australian police officer, and it's called the Strong Life Podcast. And they're just basically a bunch of small little short podcasts, 10 to 15 minutes. Well, that's as far as I've got. I've only listened to a couple of them, but he does them every day. He must have been doing them for a while because there's about 2,500 podcasts now. So probably 5 or 6 years there of podcasts. And the second podcast he did was something that I wanted to share and that really resonates with me, and something that I try to always remember and pass on, but it's a hard thing to try and pass on to people who aren't ready to hear it. The podcast was called Are You Willing to Do the Work? When you want to make some changes in your life, if you're not happy where things are, say, your body weight or finances or whatever, something you want to change in your life that's leaving you dissatisfied, are you willing to do the work to change it? Because if you're not willing to do the work, then you need to stop complaining about it, because you're not willing to do the work. So you can make excuses all you want. You can say, I had abusive parents, I didn't grow up in a rich family. Whatever the story is that you're clinging to about why you can't change and why you don't want to put the work in, or why you can't put the work in, you need to lose the story. Lose that crutch that you're holding on to about why it's not possible for you, and just put in the work. And if you're not willing to do that, then things won't change, but you got to stop complaining about it. Stop whinging about it, because you're not showing any effort in trying to change the situation. And it becomes tiring. People don't want to hear it anymore because they can see that you're not actively trying to do anything about it. A lot of the reasons why people don't change and don't want to do the work is because they fear being ridiculed and judged, and what that might mean. The amount of effort it takes to actually change something and do something better with your life and become the person you want to be is going to put you out there. And a lot of people don't want to put themselves out there because they're afraid of how their friends might view them, how their family might view them, how people that don't like them might view them, and what that could mean for them. And they're not prepared to take that risk. And he was talking about it in the sense of like his podcast, when he started his podcast, that he knows that he would get ridiculed, but he did it anyway. And I would say that same thing for something like this, me doing YouTube. I know that there's people probably that I know that I don't know that they do it, but it's just human nature. Maybe they're back home in Australia or whatever, like they're here in Taiwan, but they're holding my channel up as like something to ridicule. Oh, look how crap his videos are. They're using it as a beacon to bring me down. And what Sean was saying in that podcast is that there's always going to be those people. You got to ignore that stuff, because a lot of those people are scared, and what they're scared of is doing what you're doing. They're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to put themselves out there. So they're going to turn to ridiculing you because it's easy. It's easier to ridicule and try and drag someone down than to build yourself up and do something with your life and become better. The fear is also born out of because you're doing something, it now puts the spotlight on them, or at least they feel like the spotlight is on them. Like, this guy's doing all this work, all this effort, he's put himself out there, we're laughing at him, and he keeps going and he keeps doing things, and I'm not doing anything. So I have to stop him because it makes me feel like I'm not doing enough, that I'm not putting enough effort in. And it creates that inferiority complex around what you're doing compared to what they're doing, and people start comparing when you should just be comparing yourself to yourself anyway. And especially society today, there is this tall poppy syndrome where people just don't like to see people doing better than them. They always try and discredit their success as luck, or my situation is so much harder than theirs, that's why they're able to do it and I'm not. And it's just basically comes down to, we all have the same amount of time in a day. No one's too busy really. There's always time to scroll through your phone or do things that aren't really achieving the goals that you want. And a lot of people aren't willing to accept that and that's why they try to come up with softeners, excuses about why they can't do it. That's basically what I wanted to say today, is like, if you really want to do something and you want to change something, then you need to be prepared to do the work. You need to be prepared to face the difficult times, the criticism that people are going to throw at you, potentially lose friends over it or whatever, because there are a lot of bitter people out there who don't want to see you rise above them. But you just got to do it anyway if it's really what you want to do. And if you want to hear what I've just been talking about put in a much more elegant way, then I will leave a link to the podcast, the Strong Life podcast, the one that I listened to that provoked me to talk about this, in the video description, and you can go check it out on Spotify. Anyway guys, that's the end of today's video. Take care.